What is an odd behavior of yours you think only you do? Every time I bend over to pick something up I pretend I just unknowingly dodged a bullet from some faraway sniper trying to take me out. Sometimes I shoot fingers guns for no reason. Stop dodging. If I'm a passenger on a long car journey I pretend there's a running man at the side of the road who can't touch the ground, and I imagine it in full detail. Jumps to that tree, somersaults down and runs along the barrier, jumps, pushes off the stop sign, and onto the phone box and so on. Holy moly, I do that too. I do this too, but I imagine it's a horse or a deer running next to the car, jumping over fences and swerving around trees. Did this all the time when I was younger and in the passenger front seat of a car. Me too. That was interesting. Ninjas. Yup, that was what I was seeing. Sometimes when I get bored, I explain modern things to Benjamin Franklin, music I listen to, or how my phone works, etc. Sometimes I go even further back and explain it to Socrates or a caveman. Sometimes it's philosophical, sometimes it's just stupid. I don't know why I do it, but it's very entertaining. I used to do something like that on car trips, only I'd pick a time period and imagine what a philosopher, monk or otherwise educated person from that era would be able to figure out about what I was seeing. Yeah, the game is usually all of the stuff that precipitates from explaining the first thing. Like to explain how my phone works, I have to explain what a screen is, photography, television, etc. I have to explain sending information through the air, like radio, and then space travel, satellites, etc. I try to work out what kind of explanation would be understood pretty easily, and what would require further explanation. You sound like you'd be a really good teacher, TBH. I say things to myself to break a train on thought, like I love you, or I'm sorry, or you got this, just to keep myself going on the right path. Probably be weird if someone walked in on me trying to motivate myself out loud. Positive affirmations. Good work. It's important to be nice to yourself. I do the same thing, but with negative things. It's practically an unconscious thing. I know it can't be good for my mental health, so I'd like to stop it, or even better switch to positive messages, but nearly every time it happens I don't even realize I'm doing it until I've already said it. I was in your place and managed to make the switch to positive self-talk. I did it by consciously saying to myself this negative voice is just trying to help me do my best and protect me from harm in its own way, which is true. You suck at this equals stay realistic about your level and keep striving to improve. Your friends don't like you equals remember you've been hurt before. Be aware of your boundaries and be self-reliant enough to enforce them if necessary, etc. Then when I'd stopped interpreting this voice as my enemy, I realized that my actual inner critic was the part of me that got angry or ashamed at this inner voice and tried to shut it down. So the next time a negative thought came, instead of trying to shut down the voice I forced myself to say thanks for your concern. I know you're trying to keep me safe, and the inner voice was just like alright cool. It took many repeats of this, but eventually when the voice realized it wasn't going to be jumped on for giving advice, it seemed to relax and started wording things more kindly, like you're worried about how you did, because you always want to do your best and that's awesome. Being aware of what didn't work is how you'll keep improving, and I'd be genuinely thankful and the voice would be happy. It was like making friends between these two sides of myself and changing the dialogue into open, constructive feedback instead of attacks and criticism. Sometimes I'll even go to the voice in advance, like gee I don't think I can do this, and it'll be like sure you can. Look at all these related things you've done, and here's a breakdown of the challenging aspects, so you can prepare. That kind of analytical thinking can be really useful or harmful depending on how it's used, kinda like a knife. Anyway, that worked for me, and it took some open discussions with friends who had the same issue, and feeling like an absolute dolt the first time my voice actually said something nice to me. But it's also helped with accepting criticism from other people, feeling more grateful that they are investing in helping me improve instead of feeling attacked or like a failure. I don't think I had a good example of adults doing that when I was growing up. I also know you weren't actually asking for advice and I just wrote a giant essay about this anyway, but perhaps it will help. Best of luck, you can do it. Sometimes I wonder if there's actually people who can see into your mind, So I start thinking about really interesting things so if there is, they won't think I'm boring. I scream as loud as I can, mentally, and think of really fucked up shit. If they look uncomfortable after that, I then know that they can. I'll sometimes do the Homer Simpson bit. I know you can read my thoughts boy, meow 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 meow, and if there's no reaction I feel safer haha. Oh wow, I usually think of a video I saw which showed a guy cutting his dick off with a blunt knife. I think that your version is a bit better. Don't know if you heard, but my mind was screaming for a good 25 seconds because of that image. Why would you watch that? I don't know. I'm pretty much desensitized to shit like that. Everything except witnessing a human death firsthand does not disturb me. The perks of growing up on a farm I guess. I'm desensitized to everything. Too much time on WPD, I guess. When at the library or bookstore, I sometimes open a book I know I will read at some point, but not right now, and read a random line at a random page. Then, maybe years later I will read the book, and when I get to that line, that I have forgotten all about, and get the most powerful feeling of deja vu, I will remember what the world felt like, smelled like, the sensations and feelings I had while reading that line. It's like little gifts of memories to future me floating around in various books. That's beautiful. As someone who gets a lot of deja vu, I want to try this. Same. This sounds awesome. Sounds like someone changed something in the Matrix again for you then. Same. But this would confuse the heck out of me. So if you see someone losing their mind in a library, you'll know it was me. How do you know you're not already doing it? Lol, I can't think of a single time I flipped a book open to a random page.